Wizard. Go added some magic hunting in the Steam Age introduction. Cthulhu, wizard, steampunk, reasoning, in the era of steam, the original awakened from slumber, and the old masters walked on earth. Gods come, ancient awakenings, evil spirits sing joyfully. Monsters, evil gods, distortions, high-hanging red moon, taboo sea, fission wasteland, dawn sanctuary, everywhere is eerie, absurd, mysterious, evil wizards, clergy, extraordinary bloodline, taboos appearing one after another. The rotation of the gears of fate builds a magnificent stage, Gonzalez. Despair, despair, despair. Eternal life is the truth. Dawn is half light and half darkness. Wizards, ascend in vain. I just want to stay at home, study spells, transform puppets, earn more money, and obtain a few invention patents. Euan looked at countless inexplicable and eerie beings on the dome of the world and sighed, "Why are you forcing me?" Helpless, he had to lift a finger and face the void in front of him. Crazily output. Add some to me. I dare not count my words in the first chapter anymore. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At midnight, the castle state gradually quieted down. 44, Golden Street, a two-story building located at a road intersection, is built entirely of bricks and stones, with a triangular roof. The exterior of the house has been painted bright yellow, distinct from other buildings, except for the gray tiles on the roof that match the style of the Golden Street. On August 8, 1578, the weather. Wayne Lovett turned his head and looked out the window. A red moon hung high in the night sky, and shadows could be vaguely seen shifting like floating light. Under the shining red moon, the faint and hazy moonlight adds a touch of mystery to this dark night. Near is a kerosene street lamp that is over 1 person tall. Above the black lamp post is a wooden lampshade, wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. Through the window, you can still see the dim yellow flames inside the lampshade, driving away the darkness. He is already very familiar with these. Every night before nightfall, when the clock of Crim's cathedral rings for the 6th time, he will see the lamplighter wearing a black cloak lighting the kerosene lamp on time. Immediately after, the lamplighter would stand still with a solemn expression, hands crossed on their shoulders, and whisper, "Praise the Lord of Dawn." Every time he saw this scene, a strange thought surged in his heart. If the kerosene lamps were not lit, did it mean they were abandoned by the Lord of Dawn? Sunny. Euan pressed 2 buttons, like this, spelled out the golden words, "clear," and threw himself into the black light curtain in front of him, as if engulfed by the void, creating several circles of black ripples. Compared to the kerosene streetlights outside, the typewriter in his hand was noticeably eerie. On the oak base, there is a silver box embedded with exquisite patterns, just like a jewelry box. Press and hold the switch on the left side of the box, and a keyboard-like device will slowly pop up. A typewriter. There are a total of 6 rows, each with 12 buttons, totaling 70.2 buttons, representing common language characters, arranged neatly on top of them. Although the workmanship of the buttons was slightly rough, the crisp and pleasant sound when struck reminded Wayne of the days and nights he fought on the Ionian continent in his past life. Unfortunately, I can't go back anymore. That's right, he's not from this world. A week ago in the morning, he woke up from a deep sleep and found that everything around him had changed. At first, he thought it was a prank from his friends that led him to the film and television city. But after receiving the legacy memories of his predecessor, he had to accept the fact that he had already traveled through. After experiencing confusion, fear, and disappointment, Wayne quickly adjusted his mindset and chose to face reality positively. Especially 3 nights ago when he saw a monster holding a human arm passing by the window. He swears. That is definitely a very terrifying monster, looking very much like a wolf, but much larger in size. The monster was covered in grayish-white scales, with pale flames burning on its limbs and a pair of huge wings on its back, fluttering through the night sky. Under the shining red moon, it feels like a demon crawling out of an abyss, making people shudder. Even if he peeked at it from a distance, Euan could feel his own trembling and fear, making him unable to resist at all. However, he also benefited from misfortune. Something similar to a game attribute panel came to mind. Name: Euan Lovett. Bloodline: Sarad. Ethnicity. Occupation: Nun. Resilience level: 7. 7 represents physical strength, including strength, speed, physique, etc. Spirit level: 8. 15 plus 1 represents spiritual power, including perception, will, and soul, etc. Talent: None. Skill: None. Survival point: 3. Creatures from another world. Even if you have already been exposed to the mysteries hidden in the real world, you ignorant believe that it is true. Evaluation: Weak chicken. Reward: Survival plus 3. You peered at the deep and vicious dog, but the abyssal breed, who had already had a full meal, did not pay attention to your gaze. You avoided a disaster. Evaluation: Cheers to luck. Special reward: Spirit level plus 1. Deep evil dog. The pet of the Lord of the Deep Abyss, the guardian of the Abyss world, a terrifying demon shuttling between the Abyss and the real world, and a favorite snack called human. Note 1. Any mysterious side event that happens to you can earn you survival rewards, participation or witnessing. Special events can also earn special rewards. Note 2. Survival points can only be used to unlock knowledge, enhance skills and talent abilities. Gold finger. Euan originally thought he was going to develop in this eerie world, but he didn't expect an unexpected surprise. Although this panel is not yet functional, it is enough to make him look forward to the future. Therefore, from that day on, he decided to fully experience this mysterious, eerie, and magical world. However, before that, he first had to complete a job that his predecessor had worked hard to secure. Praise the Lord of the Ghosts. The castle state is as calm as ever, with the sun still rising and the red moon still hanging high. Everything is so beautiful. The intelligence officer of the castle state, recorded by Euan Lovett. This is the job that my predecessor found. An intelligence officer for the ghost school in the castle city state. The work is also very simple, just need to occasionally transmit what happens within the city.state through that typewriter. After Euan replaced his predecessor's body, he inherited and developed this job. The predecessor usually transmitted once every 3 days, while Euan was different. He would continue to transmit new intelligence every day in exchange for a meager salary. Each piece of information is only 1,000 words, with a guaranteed salary of 6p. Equivalent to 30 yuan in previous lives. 12 pence equals 1 shilling, 20 shillings equals 1 gold pound, not to mention the additional rewards given based on the value of intelligence. And most importantly, in the ghost school, he can also purchase some knowledge through money, such as the most basic meditation method. For only 2 gold pounds. Look, even the commission bonus system and point redemption system have come out. What is this? This is the pattern. The ghost school deserves to be able to grow and strengthen. So, after learning about this, Euan calculated his small treasury every day. 1 gold pound, 19 shillings, and 6 pence. As long as today's money is received, he can exchange his dark thoughts. I hope to open the door of the ghost wizard and step into the extraordinary realm. Even he had set his sights on rubbing the deep and vicious dog against the ground. Buzz. Buzz. Euan snapped out of his reverie and saw the telephone next to the typewriter vibrating wildly. Lying trough, did you call? Like a typewriter, this telephone is equally eerie. Shaped like a trophy, narrow at the bottom and wide at the top, pure gold, with a blue flame painting on the cup body. Start. Euan reached out and tapped the gemstone button on the phone. A faint blue flame spewed out from above, and a cold and gloomy aura spread, making him shiver uncontrollably. Immediately after, a slightly slender figure appeared in the flames, distorting in an illusion as the flames burned. The figure was wrapped in a black hooded robe, revealing only the soft and graceful contours of the chin, as well as a broad and fair chest. "Wayne Lovett." A crisp and cold voice sounded. "Women. Is the intelligence liaison officer a woman?" Wayne's heart flashed with a hint of strangeness, but his body instinctively made a gesture of bowing slightly and respectfully saying, "Yes, Lord Liaison Officer." In my predecessor's memory, there was indeed content about the superior liaison officer, but it was only one of the provisions in the work regulations. Do not make any offensive moves. A few short words, no reason, no consequences after violating. However, now in the eerie scene, Wayne no longer wants to explore the authenticity of this statement. After half a minute of silence, the voice rang out again. "Are you the one who passed on that garbage intelligence for several consecutive days?" Garbage intelligence. Did I find out about my word count in the intelligence? Wayne glanced up at the figure in the flames, his narrow and deep eyes staring at him angrily through his hood. A bad feeling surged in his heart. Then he heard the voice of the figure turn into anger. "The ghost school is on top. If I deviate from the religion, please let the miscellaneous members of the Dawn Church punish me, instead of letting me serve as the liaison officer for this damn intelligence department of the Kingdom of Charterland. If I hadn't come here, I wouldn't have seen you at zhaoshuyuan.com. Wayne Lovett. You shameless salary thief, damn useless prostitute, dirty worm. For 6 whole days, the intelligence you submitted combined is only worth 1 penny. 1 penny. I don't even have enough money to buy a pound of black bread. And you shamefully received 3 shillings. Is your face made of porcupine skin? Ha! After a storm, Wayne had only one idea in his mind. Oh no. It seems that this liaison officer strongly disapproves of his intelligence value. If he doesn't do anything else, he may immediately have a hiccup. Wayne's mind turned rapidly, taking advantage of the pause in the other party's words and carefully organizing them. Dear liaison officer, is there any misunderstanding? I submit intelligence every day, which involves various aspects of the Castor City. State. Ha! The liaison officer sneered, including cleaning horse manure in the slums. There are also significant events. For example, is the ringer at Krem's Cathedral ugly? After a moment of silence, Wayne sneered and said, Sir, is there a possibility that nothing has happened in the Castle State recently? Shut up. The liaison officer took a deep breath, suppressed his anger, and worked hard to regain the elegance that a lady should have. 5 days ago, a captain of the Secret Investigation Department was assassinated. 3 days ago, over 300 people mysteriously disappeared from the slums. 2 days ago, the Black Pearl, which was crossing the waters of Cordo, hijacked a cargo ship at the port of Castor City State. Damn it. Do you want me to continue talking? Elegance is impossible anymore. Sure enough, should we kill him? Chapter 2. Exchange for Dark Thoughts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the days when he didn't go out, so many things happened in the Castle State. Isn't this a prank on him? However, how did the liaison officer across from you know? Are there any other intelligence officers in Castor? Wayne guessed so in his heart, but on his face he pretended to be bitter and regretful. Dear liaison officer, please forgive my incompetence and pray for another chance. In fact, I have also discovered the scarcity of intelligence sources, so today I have successfully passed the interview and joined a newspaper in order to better serve the ghost school. The figure paused for a moment and said, You joined the newspaper. What newspaper did you join? It's a small newspaper. Name. How could anyone be so inquisitive? Wayne lied. The Castor Union is a newspaper that specializes in serving union organizations. Click. The liaison officer almost bit his teeth and said, Union newspaper. Thank you for coming up with it. What useful information can such a garbage newspaper have? At least it should be a city-state council bulletin or a weekly church newspaper. Well, their review is too strict. Euan whispered. I saw the faint blue flame burst out suddenly, and the piercing chill spread, so hanging that it didn't freeze him to death. That's enough. Euan quickly lowered his head, and the sweat on his body had frozen into ice, causing a layer of white frost to appear on his forehead. What's going on now? This liaison officer seems to be about to kill him. And what he didn't know was that the same question also came to mind in the liaison officer's mind. My emotions are all here. If I don't do anything, it seems like I can't justify it. After a long time, she finally made up her mind and said, considering your recent poor performance, I have decided to punish you. Punishment. Fortunately, punishment is better than losing one's life. You haven't become an apprentice within the school yet, have you? Euan was waiting to hear the punishment result, but he didn't expect the other party to ask such a question. He carefully replied, Your Excellency, I am preparing to exchange my basic idea. If you don't deduct my salary. Deducting salary. The liaison officer was taken aback for a moment, then reacted and stared at him, saying, Do you think I will deduct 6 pence from you? Of course not. I believe that if you are wise, you will definitely give me a profound lesson, rather than deducting just 6 pence. The liaison officer took a deep breath and continued, afraid that she would be unable to resist using spells. In order to make you remember this lesson, I have decided to assign a task specifically for you. Task. Euan looked up at the figure in the flames with difficulty and said, Please tell me, no matter what task it is, I gladly accept it and will do my best to complete it. I need you to investigate the disappearance case in the slums 3 days ago. Time. Just give you 2 days. In 2 days, I hope to see the investigation results about the disappearance case. Investigating slums. Euan couldn't help but shudder at the thought of what he had encountered in the slum 2 days ago, as well as the system prompts that followed. His eyes were filled with fear. Big, sir, can we change the mission? Do you not want to accept this task? No, no. The liaison officer impatiently said, Whether you want it or not, this is your punishment. Either accept the mission, or I will make you a missing person like those people now. No, I accept your punishment, Euan said helplessly. Let's just pass the test first. Remember, you only have 2 days. After speaking, the figure instantly dissipated, and the faint blue flame extinguished. The telephone has also returned to standby mode, and the blue flame imprint on the cup body flickers regularly. A visible halo veins rush towards the gemstone switch at the waist, as if accumulating energy. Clattering, the sound of several coins falling sounded. Euan regained consciousness and slowly straightened his waist, moving his almost frozen body. Then he frowned and walked forward, opening a blue and white box next to the phone, and took out 6p of it. Good news, bad news. The good news is that he has saved enough money and can now exchange it for basic meditation ideas. The bad news is that the incident of fishing in the water was discovered by the leader, and he had to step out of the door and actively explore to obtain intelligence. The thought of going out made Euan look melancholy. In fact, after absorbing the memories of his predecessor, he left the door. At first, it was normal for a few days, but since he had that property panel, everything has become eerie. That was 2 days ago. The second day he was peeping at the eerie dog, when he went to the slum of Laos, 2 blocks away. There is a bakery there, where he spent 3 pence to buy a pound of black bread. I also went to an open-air circus in the middle of the block to watch a performance for a while. Everything looks the same as before. But just after he returned to his residence, he received these few reminders. You have been eroded by the power of the nightmare realm, and your spiritual level has been permanently reduced by 1 level. Evaluation. You won't be so lucky next time. Special reward. Resilience level +1. You have gained the love of the abyssal creature. The bone-etching mother worm, which is eager to reproduce on you. Evaluation. It doesn't mind having a cross-racial love affair with you. Reward. Survival +2. Due to your resilience level being greater than level 8, the invasion of bone-etching worm has failed. Special reward. Resilience level +1. You have been locked in by Mitch Sorensen's killing intent. Evaluation. A parasitic species of the bone-etching worm that longs to capture you and offer you to the bone-etching mother worm. Reward. Survival +1. You are locked in the killing intent of Zamir Tapa. Evaluation. An abyssal cult fanatic who only wants to sacrifice your body and soul. Reward. Survival +1. Bone-etching mother worm. The most beloved species in the abyss world, it can release the seed of love on any creature. The bone-etching worm. Creatures that are successfully attacked by the bone-etching worm will lose all their bones in a short period of time. The bone-etching mother worm likes to properly preserve its target's skin sac as its eternal collectible at that time. Wayne stared blankly at the long string of prompts, especially the content about the bone-etching mother worm. This was, beautiful bones are all the same, interesting skin bags are 1 in a million. Beep the dog. Who really wants to have a cross-racial love affair with it? What kind of parasitic species, abyssal cult fanatics? He never expected that there were so many ambitious people hidden in the small slum. In less than 2 hours, he likes to give 6 reminders. If we go out and take another turn, who knows how many more perverts we will encounter. If it weren't for the erosion of some nightmare realm power that elevated his resilience level by 1 level, he would probably have cooled down 2 days ago. So, before he had the ability to protect himself, Wayne was unwilling to leave this safe house. And the intelligence he has submitted these days is all excerpted from newspapers, which is what he just said about the Castro Union newspaper. As for what kind of joining a newspaper or something, it's just a white lie he weaves for self-protection. In fact, he has a safer place to go. But now, there seems to be some deviation in the plan. Wei-in took a deep breath, dispelling those bad memories. For today's plan, let's work hard to improve our strength and save our lives. Thinking this way, he opened his wallet, poured out all the money and piled it up on the table, repeating it multiple times. A banknote with a face value of 1 gold pound, 15 1-shilling silver coins, and 61 penny copper coins, totaling exactly 2 gold pounds. Then, he took out a blank application form from the blue and white striped box and wrote the transaction contract according to the instructions for using the self-service exchange machine. Although it was difficult to understand the working principles of typewriters, telephones, and self-service exchange machines, his rich knowledge in his past life made him easily accept these magical items. Just like this box he called a self-service exchange machine, it is a machine with remote item transfer function. Every time he submits intelligence, his salary will appear in the box. In addition, to exchange items with the Ghost School, you also need to use this box to complete it. Just like at this moment, to His Excellency Kadiran Harrison, the Ghost School's Item Management Office. The humble intelligence officer of the Castellan City. State, Wayne Lovett, requests to exchange for the basic dark mind. Damn it, the format requirements for this transaction contract are very strict. Except for the name and the items to be exchanged, all other contents are printed on the application form and cannot be changed if desired. Humble. Humble, sir. However, Wei-in can only complain crazily in his heart and find www.jiaozuiyuan.com to ask him to question it in person. I'm afraid there are few lives to live. According to his predecessor's memory, he knew that the director of the item management department was already a formal wizard, and the liaison officer just now should only be at the apprentice level. However, there are also differences between apprentices and apprentices. In general, anyone who learns to meditate can be called an apprentice, also known as a junior apprentice. And the liaison officer, Wayne speculates that she is at least a senior apprentice and may even be about to advance to become a formal wizard. He is not clear about the specific gap, but it is definitely beyond imagination. Hey, money, if he has money, he can exchange all the items on the redemption list at once. In addition to basic meditation techniques, there are also beginners in magic, runes, alchemy, potions, and more that can be exchanged. I didn't expect that he would have to worry about money even after crossing over time. After completing the application form and carefully checking it, Euan carefully placed it in the box, along with all his belongings. 2 gold pounds. After finishing these, he closed the box and then pressed the start switch at the top of the box. Buzz. After a slight vibration, the white striped light on the box flashed by. Wayne stared nervously at the box, his eyes blinking without blinking. Don't have any problems, those money didn't come easily. It took over 100 days for the predecessor to save enough. If there's really a problem, where is he going to get so much money again? Fortunately, a few minutes later, a blue stripe representing the presence of items that had not been removed on the box lit up, which made Wayne's suspended heart fall. He quickly opened the box and took out the items. A letter and 3 rolls of parchment. Chapter 3. 1 head, 2 heads. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Euan looked at several things in his hand. The letter is a reply from the management office, with the front of the envelope written, personally opened by Wayne Lovett, the back sealed, and covered with the letter stamp of the ghost school. A pair of crimson eyes in a black flame. The other 3 pieces of parchment paper scrolls are slightly antique, each tied with a linen rope, indicating his thoughts and thoughts. Euan put the parchment aside and first opened the letter to read. To Your Excellency Wayne Lovett, Intelligence Officer of Castor City State, we have received your application and have approved it for issuance of the Basic Meditation Act. At the same time, according to the regulations on the management of apprentices by ghosts, the Witcher's General Knowledge and Gonzalez Language, Beginner, will be distributed simultaneously. Please record the content on the parchment paper within 2 days and return it to avoid unnecessary trouble caused by the loss of the scroll. On the path of pursuing knowledge, death is not the end. Ghost School Item Management Office. The content of the letter is brief, but Wayne is already very happy. In addition to meditation, the 2 rolls of parchment paper made of white can give him a better understanding of the world. After he collected the letter, he continued to open the 3 rolls of parchment. There was no apparent difference in appearance, so he casually opened one. Gonzalez. After unfolding this parchment, the flat paper wrinkled into a deformed face, with strange and dense words gathering into facial features, roaring low. Shit, Wayne hurriedly tied it up with a rope. The sound stopped abruptly, and the parchment reluctantly regained its flatness. It's really scary. This cliff is the volume, Gonzalez Language, Beginner. He had already learned from his predecessor's memory that the books that recorded extraordinary texts were very strange, and he did not expect such a strange method. So the question is, how do we learn this scroll? Can't we just beat it up? Wayne expressed doubt. Then, he carefully opened the second roll of parchment. It's okay, it's familiar text, no wonder this scroll is so new. The second piece of parchment is written in the common language of the mainland. The old language, with the words, Witcher's Knowledge, written on it. The recorded content made him even more delighted. This is a book that introduces common knowledge about the wizarding world, many of which he is eager to learn. According to the above records, wizards are the most well-established extraordinary profession, and unlike clergy in the church, extraordinary bloodline in the nobility, and inheritors of extraordinary races, they place greater emphasis on creativity. After the baptism of time, there are currently 5 active wizarding schools. In addition to the ghost school he belongs to, there are also the spiritual school that is proficient in elements and divination prophecies, the blood spirit school that explores the potential of the body and integrates extraordinary flesh and blood, the mechanical school that is addicted to puppetry and mechanical transformation, and the shadow school that is passionate about ancient secret techniques. The ghost school, on the other hand, focuses on exploring the mysteries of life and death, just like the proverb recorded in the letter. Death is not the end on the path of pursuing knowledge. Not only that, there are also some things that wizards need to pay attention to recorded on the scroll. Knowledge is power. But remember, when you pursue knowledge, knowledge is also chasing you. In the year 138 of the Third Age, the founder of the Ghost School, the wizard list. It is forbidden to dissect and summon creatures, especially abyssal creatures. In the year 363 of the Quaternary, the forbidden wizard, Grim Stanford. Prohibit any behavior of falling in love or breeding with mutants. In 568 of the 4th century, the distorted wizard Raleigh Dorius. The Blood Spirit School collected the remains of clergy members of the Dawn Church, valid for a long time. In the year 2434 of the Quaternary, the legendary wizard of the Blood Spirit School, Gummin Macalisius. Don't chase after all the knowledge before the Quaternary period, remember. In 238 AD, the great wizard of the spiritual school, Mycon Zaningiliou, don't rely too much on taboo items, as it can lead to misfortune. In the year 165 of the Gregorian calendar, the shadow school of ancient Faustius, there are a total of 99 precautions. Each one was left by a different wizard, and time has continued from the Third Age to the present day. Euan is not a historian specializing in historical research. He is not sure how many years it is, but it is enough to prove the long history of the inheritance of the wizarding profession. And from the content, it can be seen that there is frequent communication between different schools of wizards, and they are all quite capable of killing. Dissecting summoning creatures and reproducing with mutants is enough. The one that effectively recycles corpses for a long time is really weird, isn't it advertising? However, at the same time, he also had many doubts. For example, why can't we pursue knowledge before the Quaternary period, what are taboo items, and so on? These questions will be left behind in the future. Forgotten. He wouldn't actively engage in mysterious and eerie worlds to satisfy his curiosity. Isn't it good to live? Thinking this way, Euan looked at the last roll of parchment. After hesitating for a moment, he gently picked it up and tightly grasped it. The Gonzalez language scroll was so eerie, and this more ancient-looking meditation scroll was probably hush. After the sound of the hemp rope rubbing, the scroll was opened. The eerie scene in the fantasy did not appear, and Euan breathed a sigh of relief and looked at the content on this scroll. The entire piece of parchment is 1 foot square, with irregular edges and corners. Upon careful observation, there is also a shiny layer of slurry on top, which appears as oil stains distributed in every corner of the book garden www.zhaozuiyuan.com. The recorded text. I don't know, some are similar to those on the Gonzalez scroll he just saw, he still needs to confirm. Other content. Is this a painting? I saw a scroll occupying 80% of the parchment paper, drawing no, it's not drawing. To be precise, it is a eerie 6-pointed star formation made by burning unknown bone fragments onto parchment paper. Under this uniquely constructed 6-pointed star, there is a strange painting faintly visible. It can be confirmed that the content of the painting is a humanoid creature, but its limbs, head, and a few tails are all pressed under the hexagram skeleton, making it difficult to see accurately. Only the body parts are very clear. The patterns and lines follow, depicting a face. Black hair, dark skin, angular face, dense black eyebrows, bright red pupils. Euan leaned closer and looked closely, feeling that he had seen this face somewhere before. Where is it? Yes. This is what he looks like now. Before he could react, he saw the face on his torso, which looked the same as his, smirk with a strange tone. A.P. Renaud, Reese. If Euan understood Gonzalez, he would understand the meanings represented by these tones. Chaos, despair, death. As the sound sounded, he felt his gaze start to blur, and everything around him seemed to be moving away, a highly unreal sense of nothingness spreading. Puff. Euan lay on the ground, his eyes staring blankly at the empty space, and his mouth unconsciously opening and closing. 1 head, 2 heads, 3 heads. Whispers spread throughout the room. Chapter 4. Understanding the eerie level of this world +1. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A strong sense of hunger awakened Euan. He stood up in confusion and looked around. Beds, tables and chairs, bookshelves, wardrobes, messy clothes, neatly arranged printed books, a trophy, a blue and white striped box, a box with an oak base. It wasn't until he saw the parchment in his hand that he remembered it. Yes, it is, he has already exchanged his basic meditation ideas. Unconsciously, he recalls his handsome face on parchment paper in his mind. What the hell is that? Is he experiencing hallucinations, or no, that must be an illusion? How could his face possibly appear on a parchment recording his dark thoughts? Euan hurriedly rewound the parchment in his hand, tied it with hemp rope, and threw it on the table. These items with extraordinary abilities should not be easily touched, they are too dangerous. The ghost school is not trying to trap him, is it? Spending all his wealth and finally getting this thing. After a long time, Euan sighed and turned his head to look out the window. It was not yet dawn. It seems that he didn't sleep for long just now. But, I'm so hungry. How could you be so hungry? No, I can't hold on anymore. I need to fill my stomach first. Euan endured his hunger and walked to the bedside to find a piece of black bread, swallowing it in large gulps. Since he learned about his predecessor's daily life, he increasingly felt that the days of his past life were truly happy. In order to save money on exchanging for dark ideas, the predecessor used everything to the extreme. Eat the cheapest whole wheat black bread when hungry, and drink tap water when thirsty. Eat some meat and fish. There are no doors. Even in the extremely cold winter weather, he never lit the fireplace and endured it for 3 months. Unfortunately, such suffering also led to his sudden death. If it weren't for this, Euan wouldn't have come to this damn world. Ha! After Euan finished eating all the crumbs in his hand, he felt a little more comfortable in his stomach. I don't know what that eerie meditation method did to him. Why does it seem like it emptied his body? He opened the panel to see if there were any prompts. Name: Euan Lovett, bloodline. Sarad, ethnicity, occupation. Witcher apprentice, junior, resilience level. 13 represents physical strength, including strength, speed, physique, etc. Spirit level. 20 represents spiritual power, including perception, will, and soul, etc. Origin. 2 represents one's own origin characteristics. Talent. None. Skill. Ghost mind level 1, 0 out of 10, survival point. 21, have you had a safe day again? Evaluation. Minimum reward, have you satisfied it? Reward. Survival +3. Your clever words and expressions helped you successfully avoid the anger of advanced wizard apprentice Olivia Tapia, but you won't be as lucky next time. Reward. Survival +2. You have learned the ghost abyss idea, have a preliminary exposure to the extraordinary, and have a +1 understanding of the world. Congratulations. Evaluation. Although you are still a weak chicken, you are already on the way to becoming stronger. Reward. Survival +3. Congratulations, obtained profession. Wizard. Level. Junior apprentice. Special reward. Spirit level +3. You have suffered from the erosion of an unknown origin, and you have successfully resisted it. Your origin characteristics have undergone a transformation. Congratulations, you have become non-human. Special rewards. Origin +1, Spirit level +2, Resilience level +4. The entire panel has undergone a major transformation. Not only did he gain more professions and original characteristics, but he also gained the ability to meditate. Euan looked at those prompts, especially the last one, and he read them over and over again. Being eroded by an unknown origin. The characteristics of the origin undergo a mutation. Non-human. That is to say, if he doesn't resist the erosion of the origin, then he will die. Is this too much of a pit? No wonder when his predecessor came to Castor, those people looked at him with sympathy in their eyes. It turned out there was such a big hole. Euan cursed and punched the table. Bang! The place he hit shattered directly. This is. He looked at his hand, then shook it again, feeling the explosive power on his body. Then he thought of something and opened the panel again to take a look. Has the toughness level reached 13? Previously, his attention was focused on the erosion of the origin, only to realize that after resisting the erosion of the origin, he gained such a rich reward. Apart from the surging power, he could feel his body becoming lighter, as if he could easily penetrate the roof with a light jump of his head. No wonder there is such a strong sense of hunger after waking up. It turns out that it wasn't because he was hollowed out, but because his body became stronger and consumed more. Not only that, but also, Euan also noticed other changes, and everything around him became clearer, not just the clarity he saw, but the feeling. The sensation transmitted from the 5 senses of the body can be seen more clearly and heard further. Just like in this room at this moment, he knows he's not the only creature. It also includes 3 cockroaches, 2 mice stealing food under the cabinet, and a little spider spinning a web behind the bookshelf. Even the ant in the corner is clear. You can even hear the footsteps of the black-robed lamplighter in the distance, looking for the Euan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and his murmurs. Praise the Lord of Dawn, protect the peace of the Castor City. State. This is the effect after reaching the spiritual level of 20, this is the feeling of power, this is what he longed for the most after learning the truth of this world. Euan excitedly waved his fist, strength, power, power, this feeling is amazing. Euan looked at the hole on the table with a smile on his face, and the panic and fear he had previously experienced with parchment stabbing swept away. He couldn't help but think optimistically. Perhaps the ghost side is not deceiving him, these are all tests for him. Only by invading through the eerie existence in his dark thoughts can he obtain his origin and become a wizard. If that's the case, then everything will be explained. How about trying to meditate for a while? Euan is not sure how to meditate, but since the panel shows that he has the skill of meditation, it shouldn't be too difficult. Then, he naturally sat on the chair, closed his eyes, and focused his mind. Euan only felt a glimmer of light suddenly appear in the dark world before him. He opened his eyes and looked at it in confusion. Can he see things even with his eyes closed? Here, where is it? What appeared before him was not the familiar room, but a strange world. The earth with black soil, the endless darkness of the sky, and the glimmer of light. A tree, a giant tree emitting red light. Wait, so, what is that? Turns out the creatures on parchment are real, so his face really appeared on the belly of that monster. Chapter 5. Call Dad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I saw the huge tree emitting a red halo, with withered branches and leaves twisted and soaring straight into the sky. Under the tree was a monster that stood tall, with 6 black iron pillars inserted into its body, staring it at the trunk. That is a monster that can be called a humanoid creature. With hands, feet, head, and facial features. But its hands are tentacles similar to octopuses, covered in dense crimson eyes. Its feet are quite normal. If those 4 thick toes are ignored. The head is large, but only has a large mouth with sharp fangs. A slender and pointed tongue extends all the way to the chest. That's right, just above the face that resembles him on the chest. The face opened its eyes, and upon seeing his figure, it smiled with a wicked smile. Apu, Runo, Reese. Chaos, despair, death. Wayne stared blankly at everything in front of him. It's just simple meditation, there's no need for such a grand scene, right? What the hell are you? The smile on that face stopped, and he looked at Wayne in surprise, as if wondering why this person had not fainted yet. Apu, Runo, Reese. Chaos, despair, death. What does it mean? Upon seeing the expression on that face, Wei-En looked at the strange tentacles with fear and asked. Reese. Death. The skeptical face spoke again, but seeing Wei-En still standing straight there, his face couldn't help but collapse. Ah. Can't you speak some human language? Wei-En Zhuang bravely stepped forward and slapped the face. He had already realized that this strange thing could not harm him. If there is really danger, such a big monster, he can't run away even if he wants to. Just like the most widely circulated proverb in the world. There is no need to avoid minor disasters, and major disasters cannot be avoided. The face realized his actions and opened its mouth in terror. Don't do it. Click. A slap in the past did not give the feeling of a flesh and blood body, but rather the crisp sound of glass shattering. Broken. It's not that the monster shattered, but that the entire space around it is shattered and cracked. The monster, along with the giant tree behind him, appeared with black cracks that made a clicking sound. Then the entire space shattered, like a complete puzzle shattered by him, scattered into nothingness. Wei-En only felt a blur in front of him, and when he saw it clearly, he had returned to the familiar room once again. Is this meditation? How could this be meditation? Reese. At this moment, a voice rang in my ear. Wei-En was so scared that he jumped out and turned to look. Who's talking? No one. He looked around carefully for a week and didn't find anything. Are you experiencing hallucinations again? Apu. It's not an illusion. Bastard, where are you, coming out? Reese. Upon hearing that voice again, Wei-En felt like he was going crazy. He was sure it was the monster with a face on his waist. But no matter how he searched, he didn't find anything until he looked up. Damn it. Wei-En was startled and stared wide at his face in mid-air. No, to be exact, it's a head exactly like his. Even more eerie is that he only has one head, like a ball, without even a neck. What kind of ghost are you? You're so haunted. Luno. Grandpa Lu. This time, Wei-En couldn't bear it anymore and jumped up with a slap. But, I didn't touch anything and almost knocked myself over. Phantom. Ghost. Or. Wei-En got up from the ground and stared at it in confusion. Apu. That head glanced at him with a look of disdain in its eyes. Wei-En was furious and couldn't stop. I can't cure you anymore. Since reading that volume of dark thoughts, this damn thing has been clinging to him, unable to shake it off. And this bastard's expression is also too annoying. You bastard. At this moment, he realized that this head seemed to be eating something. He put down the chair he had just picked up and observed for a while to determine what it was eating. Every time that head says a few words, his mouth opens wide, chewing and swallowing like biting a piece of meat, and when chewing stops, he will speak again. Flipping back and forth, there are only 3 tones. Reese, AP, and Runo. What exactly is this situation? After observing for a while, Wei-En confirmed that this head would not pose any danger to him. He then looked at the attribute panel in his mind, wanting to see if there were any changes. Sure enough, there are really hints. Meditate for 1 hour, reward. Spirit level plus 0.01. Meditate for an hour. Wei-En looked up at that head, feeling that it was not enough. Is this really meditation? Which meditation is like this? Clash. At this moment, there was a louder sound coming from the automatic exchange machine in the blue and white boxes than ever before. Has there been a letter from the school? Wayne glared at his head again before turning around and opening the box, taking out the contents inside. A letter, a crystal ball. He opened the letter in confusion and read it. Zhaozuiyuan.com, congratulations on becoming the 10,038,234th wizard apprentice of the Ghost School. I hope you don't mind this entrance exam, everything is for the peace of the Ghost School. The ghost mind, also known as the phantom devouring method, is the biggest secret of our school. We apologize for not informing you in advance. In order to express the reward for keeping your secrets, all knowledge exchange prices within the future school are discounted by 10%, and a crystal ball is also included as a bonus. You can check your spiritual level by sticking your head on it. Note 1. When you meditate, any abnormality is normal. The school suggests that you get used to and embrace its existence, which will not have any impact on your life. To be precise, apart from the wizards of the Ghost School, no one else can discover its existence. Note 2. Try not to beat it as it will interrupt your meditation. Of course, using spiritual power can hit it. This is my kind reminder to you, after all, other apprentices in the school. Note 3. It has some wisdom, but not much. Finally, let us remember the proverb. Death is not the end on the path of seeking knowledge. The Apprentice Management Office of the Ghost School. After Wayne finished reading it, he couldn't help but read it again, especially the kind reminder from the Apprentice Management Office. Originally, it was his previous way of beating that was wrong. Wayne collected the letter and placed it on the table, grinning as he looked at his head in mid-air. He clenched his fist with one hand, his spiritual strength concentrated on it. The head noticed his movements and blurted out a confused tone. Reese. Wei-Yen punched over and said, Roy, you're like a clam, call me Dad. Chapter 6. Asiba. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Reese. Shut up. That head seemed to have been greatly wronged, crazily biting into the air all around, and chewing with a puff of air. Is that right? Follow me well in the future, and I promise you will enjoy eating and drinking spicy food. Wayne is very satisfied with his attitude now. Not in vain, he deliberately interrupted meditation, wasting a 0.01 level mental level. Dang, at this moment, the bells of the Krems Cathedral rang. Tisk, it's 6 o'clock. This night was really too long. Fortunately, he did not achieve nothing. Not only did he learn meditation and become an apprentice wizard to the Ghost School, but he also acquired a brain that can meditate automatically. A beautiful day starts with hunger. Wei-Yin touched his stomach, he became stronger and easier to get hungry. Most importantly, he is now penniless. I can only see if I can pass the interview today. I hope I can advance some salary. Thinking this way, he pulled out a golden pocket watch from his neck, held down the button above, and placed it on the table. Bang! After a burst of smoke, I saw that the pocket watch had turned into a large golden box. Then, he packed everything on the table into the box, one by one. A trophy-shaped telephone, an oak-based typewriter, a blue and white alternating automatic exchange machine, a crystal ball. As well as those 2 letters and 3 rolls of parchment, and so on. It is worth mentioning that the crystal ball does have a test effect on his mental level. However, it is not as comprehensive as the panel system. It can only be considered as a cargo weighing on the bottom of the box and eating dust. After packing everything up, Wayne turned it back into a pocket watch, hung it around his neck again, and then picked up a basin towel to wash. This pocket watch is the standard toolbox of the Ghost School intelligence officer, obtained by its predecessor through an interview. And the house he currently resides in also belongs to the Ghost School, and together with that pocket watch, it can be considered one of the benefits of an intelligence officer. However, all his expenses here must be self-sufficient. As the trainer of the school intelligence department said during his predecessor's pre-employment training at Castor City State, the Ghost School is willing to provide a platform for you to grow and become talented, and as a price, you need to put in enough effort. It looks very user-friendly, doesn't it? But in reality, wizard apprentices are not highly valued within the Phantom. Except for a very small number of gifted monsters, most of the other apprentices, as well as a large number of preparatory apprentices, are only considered peripheral students of the Ghost. The true core is located at the headquarters of the Ghost School. In the distant northern continent, in a glacier and snow plain called Kovich. And intelligence officers like Euan, the entire Ghost has no more than 20,000, and there must be tens of thousands of people, each dispersed in various city-states, responsible for transmitting intelligence. In the words of a trainer, the fear of wizards comes from the unknown. As long as we know enough, the chance of solving the disaster is a bit higher. It is precisely because of such a wide network system that every intelligence officer has to become a lone wolf, trying to survive in their respective city-states. It is obvious that the predecessor belonged to the existence of infinite survival ability approaching zero. A few months after arriving in Castor City, the farthest place my predecessor had ever been was a slum 3 blocks away, and the most familiar people were the father and daughter from the neighboring clinic. And all the intelligence he submitted was heard from the Red Moon Tavern on the other end of Golden Street. And he only goes there once every 3 days, the reason. It's just that he can't bear an 8-penny glass of beer. Alas, the financial difficulties of the past have caused Euan to be penniless now. However, fortunately, everything has just begun, and it's not too late to start now. After washing up, Euan took out a purple wooden box from the wardrobe like a treasure and took out the carefully taken care of clothes. This is one of the few valuable relics from its predecessor, a set of formal attire worth £1, which also belongs to the welfare of intelligence officers. Main use. Well, it makes it more dignified when buried in the soil. According to the statistics of the Ghost Intelligence Department, 50% of intelligence officers cannot survive their first year, and this outfit is considered as compensation given in advance. Fortunately, I'm not as simple as my predecessor. Clothes, of course, were worn while alive. It's foolish to wear them after death. Just like now. It's perfect for Euan to wear to support the scene. What Euan told the liaison officer last night about joining the Castor Union newspaper was not entirely a lie. In fact, on the second day he arrived in this world, he began to pay attention to his work. After all, in his current situation, he needs a lot of money to exchange wizard knowledge from the Ghost School. Relying solely on a daily allowance of 6 pence, even if he died of old age, it would be difficult for him to save enough gold pounds to advance to the rank of official wizard. So, Euan has found a decent enough job that can help him alleviate economic pressure. And today is the day of his interview. After dressing neatly, Euan adjusted his hairstyle in front of the mirror and looked completely refreshed. Still quite handsome. In him, there are typical characteristics of the Serrat ethnic group. With black hair, soft facial features, and a well-proportioned figure, wearing this gentleman's suit in the Western continent style exudes a unique charm. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Fortunately, Euan's skin is dark and slightly darker than bronze, making him look less delicate. In the head above him, seeing Euan's movements, especially his refreshing and neat hairstyle. His eyes couldn't help but show a hint of envy. Unfortunately, he only has a head and no hands. My head shook in agony for a while, and my chicken coop-like hairstyle remained the same as before. I couldn't help but stare fiercely at Euan. It was all because of this two-legged monster that messed up his hairstyle when I beat him up. Bar. Bar. Euan looked up and saw his head swaying up and down, his eyes occasionally flipping upwards. He wondered, did you have epilepsy? Ah. His head glared at him, then glanced at the mirror, and finally looked up. Me, the mirror, above. Euan pondered for a moment. Are you saying you can attach yourself to the mirror? Woo-woo. My head looked at him in surprise for a while before closing my eyes in frustration. I'm teasing you, why are you still in a hurry? Euan gathered his spiritual strength in his hands, straightened his hairstyle, and nodded with satisfaction, saying, "It's my face, equally handsome." Opening his head and eyes, he quietly glanced in the mirror, as if he had encountered something happy. His mouth grinned and he said, "Ah, she. Happy. Why are you still cursing people?" Euan knew that he was not speaking in Bangsi language, but that the tone really evoked some memories. "Hurry up and get to work. I'm also going out, Why don't we just call you Xiao Axi, Ah she, please. Well, I got it, little Axi. Ah she. Chapter 7. Euan and Carly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Euan brought the necessary materials for the interview and locked the doors and windows to prepare for going out. Oh, I almost forgot. Euan returned to the attic, turned on a gas lamp next to his desk, then rang the copper bell by the bedside, and then ran down the stairs, stepping on a chair and pulling the hanging rope connecting the chandelier to the ceiling. After finishing these, a faint blue light flashed through the room. There seemed to be a thin film before his eyes, and there was a blurry feeling when he saw anything. So, this is what the rune magic formation looks like when it's activated. When Euan went out a few times before, he would go through this process, but at that time he didn't feel anything unusual. But now he can clearly perceive the abnormality, which should be the reason for becoming a wizard. Or rather, it is the enhancement of his perceptual ability after his spiritual level is elevated that allows him to see these changes. And the function of this rune array is to protect against thieves entering the house when intelligence officers go out. According to the regulations of intelligence officers, all workplaces must undergo strict protection, firstly to prevent the leakage of internal intelligence, and secondly to worry about the possibility of eerie intrusion. Once there are other parasites such as bone etchers or extraordinary professions entering the house, they will automatically remind and beware of intelligence officers returning from outside and being attacked by others. As for how to notify Euan, the alarm is the ring he is wearing on his hand. However, it has another effect. When the intelligence officer dies or is removed for more than a week, the intelligence department will receive the message. In this case, they will arrange for another intelligence officer to come and also arrange for the Warhead's wizard to retrieve the toolbox pocket watch. Euan. Upon hearing the sound, Euan calmly locked the door before turning around and saying, "Sister Carly." Carly Morris, one of the familiar neighbors of her predecessor. A nun with golden hair, fair skin, sapphire blue eyes, sexy lips, and a graceful figure. Is the most devout believer of the Lord of Dawn. I am studying at the school of the Dawn Church. Krems College, and I heard that my grades at the school are very outstanding. It is worth mentioning that when Euan first met her, he was deeply impressed. This is a very kind girl, like a well-educated aristocrat, with kindness as her motto for survival. Her eyes are bright and clear, and it is said that they are the window of the soul. People with ghosts in their hearts will instinctively feel ashamed when they look at her. "Euan, you look very handsome in this outfit." Carly looked at him with a hint of doubt in her eyes. "Do you think there are any other changes? Is that right? Maybe it was too decadent before, but today I've adjusted and become more energetic." Euan chuckled and muttered to himself, "Is this a woman's sixth sense? It's very likely. Is Uncle Euan there?" "I have prepared all the materials as per his request," Euan asked, taking up the materials in his hand. "Euan just went out for a consultation, it's Grandma Marue. She should be back soon." "That's good, before we leave, I can still thank Uncle Euan." "Euan, actually you don't need to be so polite. Euan is a kind-hearted person. As long as you behave better at work, he will be very happy. Don't worry, I will work hard, but I still want to thank Uncle Euan for giving me this opportunity." Euan saw her wearing the nun's dress of the Dawn Church. a minimalist-style dress, and the covenant in her hand. He asked, "Carly, are you going to the Krem's church?" Carly held the Covenant of the Dawn Church in her hand, which is a book that records the legend and doctrine of the Lord of Dawn. After hearing his words, Carly hugged the covenant even tighter and said happily, "Today, the Bishop of Cranland is leading the hymn. I don't want to miss such a grand scene." Crander came over. A big shot. Wayne knows that Crand is the capital of the Kingdom of Charterland. It is said that there are 4 Castro city-states as large there, and many wandering poets who come from afar call it the City of Miracles. I don't know how much exaggeration there is. Can it compare to the flower grower's magic city? Carly looked at him with a serious expression and said, "Wayne, the bishop is not a big shot. We are all believers in the dawn. But you call him an adult. That was when he received the Holy Grail of Dawn, and only the most devout believers could receive this honor. I don't know when Dawn will respond to me." "Yes," Wayne said solemnly with poisoned chicken soup, "Carly is the most devout believer in the entire Castellan city. State. I believe in the Lord of Dawn, that old East. Cough, he will definitely give you a response. Maybe he will also bring down a holy wife and make you one of the 3 saints of the Dawn Church." As an authentic atheist, he finds it difficult to understand the term faith. Carly didn't recognize his profanity and shyly said, "I'm not as good as you said, but I'll work hard." "Carly, I think Wayne is right. You are the Pearl of Castor and should be the saint of the Dawn Church." At this moment, a middle-aged handsome man wearing a gray suit, carrying a black suitcase, with the same golden hair and blue eyes, walked over. It was Carly's father, Juan Morris. Zhaoshuyuan.com, "Father, you also make fun of me." Wayne looked at the coquettish Carly and exclaimed, "Good guy. Call him father in front of you, and call him Euan behind your back, right?" As a matter of fact, Euan smiled indulgently, "All right, Carly, you should go to church now." Carly nodded obediently and said, "Wayne, I'm leaving first. I'm looking forward to your good news." As she walked away, Euan patted Wayne's shoulder and said, "Don't have any intentions towards my Castor Pearl. You're not worthy of her." Wayne withdrew his gaze and said awkwardly, "Uncle Euan, does Castor Pearl know that you used her name for Carrie?" "It's not important. Have you prepared those materials?" "It's all ready now." Wayne patted the small bag on his hand and said, "Great, I hope you can pass the interview. It's not that easy to get into the secret investigation department." Wayne flattered and said, "Aren't you here? You're wise and handsome Lord Euan, can your recommendation letter exempt me from the probationary period?" "It's absolutely impossible. Your ideas are very dangerous." Euan refused firmly, "I was just casually saying it." Wayne shrugged, of course he knew it was impossible. A probationary employee earns a weekly salary of 3 shillings, while a regular employee earns a weekly salary of 5 shillings. The difference is so significant that the person in the secret investigation department was foolish enough to exempt him from the exam. "Wayne, I have to remind you. The work of the secret investigation department is very dangerous, and whether it is a formal employee or not, they always face unimaginable dangers," said Euan seriously. "Are you really ready?" Chapter 8. Secret Investigation Department. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you really ready? "Uncle Euan, thank you very much for your concern," Wayne said extremely seriously, "but please believe that I am capable of handling this job." "How could I not agree? This is a job with a weekly salary of 5 shillings. Moreover, compared to other places, the safety factor of the Secret Investigation Bureau is very high, enough to rank in the top 5 in the entire Castor City. State. I'll trust you for now." Euan waved as he saw his expression. "Come with me, I've already prepared a recommendation letter for you." "Thank you so much." Wayne followed into Morris Clinic. In his predecessor's memory, he envied the decoration of this clinic. Skeleton models, spider dolls, and various bizarre specimens are more like ghosts than rooms arranged by the ghost school. But from the moment Wayne entered the clinic, he overturned the memories of his predecessor. On the left side of the entrance, the skeleton model that my predecessor thought was actually a skeleton warrior. The slightly flickering black light in its eyes, the chilly aura emanating from its body, and the rusty two-handed sword at hand all indicate its identity as an undead creature. The huge spider doll on the ceiling remained motionless even after seeing him enter the door. But those 6 spider legs full of thorns, 3 pairs of round eyes on their heads, and spider silk swaying in mid-air. Blind people know this is alive. Also, what are the bottles, jars, and jars placed on the display cabinet? The eyeballs of unknown organisms, the organs of unknown organisms, the prosthetics of unknown organisms. Is this like a human leg? Wei-in looked at the strange decorations in the room and his mouth twitched. Is this really a clinic? Who knows if it's for medical treatment or for burial? Euan took out a roll of parchment from the drawer under the table and saw his curious gaze as he smiled. So, is my clinic great? Great. Uncle Euan, at first glance you are a doctor with superb medical skills. At such times, don't worry about whether lies are well-intentioned, life is important. Although my place may not be big, it is definitely the top-ranked clinic in Castor City State. Wei-in, for the sake of your neighbors, I will give you a 20% discount when you see a doctor in the future, said Euan with a proud expression on his face. Are you serious? Actually. There's no need to be like this. Thank you. You're welcome, Wei-in. When I see you, it reminds me of when I was young, just as handsome and adventurous. As he spoke, Euan handed him the scroll in his hand and said, if it weren't for Carly, maybe I'm still a ship doctor now, following the white rose on all seas. Uncle Euan, the interview time is coming up soon, I'll leave first. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Wei-in stepped forward, took the scroll, and turned around before leaving. When I come back, I will definitely listen carefully to your glorious deeds. Being too sensitive to the senses is not a good thing. The spider silk on his head kept drifting, and the sound of the big sword rubbing against the ground occasionally came from behind, making him want to escape from this place. Hey! Wei-in, good luck then. Euan watched as he turned his back and waved goodbye, smiling slightly. He's really a polite young man, but unfortunately he's a male. Hiss, hiss. Hey, why am I a daughter slave? Carly is so beautiful and generous, gentle and kind. Worthy of Castor's most outstanding young man. Hiss. Euan looked up at the spider and defended, she's my daughter, of course I have to carefully choose a son.in.law. At this moment, the skeleton warrior who had been a model for half a day at the door slowly turned around and said, Condor, Condor. Morris, he noticed me. Euan was stunned for a moment and looked at the direction next door thoughtfully. Calculating the time, it's really time to become a wizard apprentice, he said, but compared to previous intelligence officers, he's really low-key. I never expected such a thoughtful person to agree to his suggestion and choose to join the Secret Investigation Department. Oh yes. It seems that I forgot to explain to him the job responsibilities of the Logistics Department of the Secret Investigation Department before. Forget it, with the frequency of replacement of ghost intelligence officers, it's not so much of an accident. Euan muttered a few words in a low voice, then turned around and opened his suitcase, taking out a few newly collected distorted organs and getting busy. After walking for almost half an hour, Wei-in finally found 102, Dimitru Street, where the secret investigator was located, according to the address provided by Euan. The Dimitru neighborhood is more bustling than the Golden Street near the slums. The road is wider and flatter, with tall and exquisite buildings on both sides, full of Gothic style, making the entire block full of mysterious and peaceful colors. There are 2 storefronts on both sides, and gentlemen and ladies who arrive in carriages, dressed neatly and elegantly, walk into these storefronts. From time to time, there is a team of guards wearing silver standard armor, carrying rune guns, patrolling the neighborhood. The roaring steam car stands out among the carriages, always causing pedestrians to stop and show envy. The 10-step street lights highlight the uniqueness of the Dimitri neighborhood. The radiance of dawn will make those living here feel more secure. It is obvious that this is the core area of the Castor city. State. Wayne didn't watch too much and detoured around the Krems Cathedral, making his already limited time even more tense. He walked straight into the gate of the Secret Investigation Office and, after explaining his purpose to the guards, was taken to the logistics department on the 3rd floor. Dingling. Minister Yeager, the person you are waiting for is here. The guard knocked on the door and saluted the person inside, clenching one hand and placing it on their chest. Well, please invite him in. The guard retreated, leaving Wei Yan with a friendly smile, and then turned around to leave. Wei Yan followed in and looked at Minister Yeager. His gray and white hair stood upright, and his skin was very white but rough. He had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and thick lips, and a fierce scar pulled from his nose to his temples. Not only did it not damage his image, but it added a touch of dignity. His figure is extremely tall and robust, which is a typical characteristic of the Alders ethnic group in the eastern continent. Zhaozuiyuan.com At this moment, he was wearing the common sailor sweatshirt of Castor, lazily leaning on a high-backed chair, with his feet resting on the table, and smoking a cigar in his mouth. Wayne didn't expect the interviewer to be the Minister of Logistics, and said with a slightly reserved expression, "Minister Yeager, I'm Wayne Lovett, yes." Yeager interrupted, "I know, he was introduced by Euan, and I have to say he finally did something serious this time." As he spoke, he casually glanced at Wayne and asked, "Tell me, where are you from? Drake, Eton, or Ocampo?" In Castor, no, throughout the entire kingdom of Chetland, the Sarat ethnic group is rarely seen. Wei Yan pursed his lips and replied, "Minister Yeager of the Pleto City. State of the Drake Republic." It seems that the Minister of Logistics is not very easy. Going. It's Drake's. That's right, only the gentle climate there can raise a beautiful young man like you in the entire eastern continent. Yeager's tone was slightly frivolous, as if he was very indifferent to the appearance of foreigners from thousands of miles away in the city of Castor. Float, beautiful. Is this a description of men? Before he could refute, Yeager continued, "When can I start working? Is the topic so jumping?" Wei Yan was stunned for a moment, then reacted and replied, "Tomorrow." "Oh, this afternoon, right." Did he use the wrong vocabulary, or did the other person have an ear problem? Yeager finally changed his posture, folded his feet, and pushed over a piece of parchment from the scattered books, newspapers, official letters, and other materials on the table. "Sign it," he said. "Did I pass the interview?" Chapter 9. Individualized Investigators. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Of course. Yeager stared at him with black eyes and exhaled a long smoke. The Castle State is a city that values freedom, and the Secret Investigation Bureau is even more so. Is this a matter of freedom or not? Wynne resisted his full desire to complain and asked realistically, "What about the salary?" "Oh yes, we haven't discussed your salary yet." Yeager murmured to himself, cleared his throat, and said, "The employees of our secret investigation department, you know, often deal with mysterious events, and their salaries have increased by 20% compared to other departments. During the probationary period, your salary was 4 shillings per week. When you become a qualified investigator, your weekly salary will increase to 6 shillings. How about that? Are you satisfied? 4 shillings and 6 shillings. This is a bit more than what Euan told him about his salary, not bad weight. Investigator. Is this a unified term for employees who join the mysterious incident investigation department? A very imposing title. Wei Yan nodded and said, "Minister Yeager, I am very satisfied. This salary will improve my life." "Everyone thinks so," Jaeger nodded nonchalantly, pointing to parchment and said, "Can we sign the employment contract now?" "No problem at all." Wei-in picked up the parchment and glanced roughly. After confirming his salary, he signed his name. "Very good." Jaeger took the application form and casually stuffed it into the pile of documents. He stood up and reached out his hand, saying, "Welcome to join. I am Jaeger Payne, the logistics department head of the Castor City State Secret Investigation Department." Wayne held his hand and said, "I'm honored too. Go out and turn right to the investigation department to find Laishi. She will take you to collect your equipment." Jaeger straightened his chest and shrunk, then leaned back into his chair, lazily saying, "I'm looking forward to your performance, Wayne. Your tone doesn't have any expectation at all. Goodbye, Minister Jaeger." After speaking, Wayne turned around and left the office. "Stay a little longer," he's afraid he might tear up the just-signed contract. Is it really reliable to have such a minister in charge of the logistics department? After he left, Jaeger rested his feet on the table again and picked up a newspaper to read, muttering to himself. "I smelled the scent of a ghost playing with life and death as a wizard. But what about him? As long as he is a transcendent profession, the door of the logistics investigation department will always be open for him." After Wei-en left the office, he went to an office at the end of the corridor and vaguely recognized the words, "Investigation Department 1" through the tattered nameplate at the entrance. Dingling. He rang the doorbell. Who knows how household items like doorbells can appear in places like the Secret Investigation Office. "The door is not locked, please enter." Upon hearing this sound, Wei-en raised his eyebrows. "Is it a lady?" However, how could her tone be the same as Jaeger before? The same laziness. Thinking this way, he pushed the door in and his heightened senses made him alert at the first moment. A feeling of danger. There is a killing intent. "Hey, Roger, put away your killing intent. You scared our new colleague." A tall woman, with well-developed pectoral muscles, stood up and cursed inwardly. How to describe her appearance? Well, when Wayne saw her figure, the word, "cow," flashed through his mind for the first time, carrying a heavy burden. Her appearance is equally fiery, with a head of brown curly hair and very white skin, which is rare in coastal areas like the Castle State. Her face is delicate, with big eyes, equally brown eyes, a tall nose bridge, and sexy lips. This is indeed a very beautiful woman. Well, she is also very tough. "Sorry, Lacey, I just returned from the port." In the innermost corner of the room, there was a well-dressed young man with a gloomy face playing with a long-barreled firearm, as if someone owed him tens of millions of dollars. The lady named Laishi continued to curse and say, "Next time, I'll crush your mess. But you too." She paused for a moment before continuing. But instead, he turned his head to look at Wei-en at the door, looked up and down a few times, and whistled in admiration, saying, "Jaeger did a beautiful job this time. He fooled a gentleman into joining." Huck. Wei-en opened his mouth and suddenly felt that following Euan's suggestion to join the Secret Investigation Bureau was a wrong decision. He finds it hard to believe that the Secret Investigation Bureau will look like this. An unreliable Alders ethnic minister, a fierce woman with a very ladylike appearance, and a gloomy young man who looks intimidating. Is this really the mysterious Incident Investigation Department that is said to be responsible for safeguarding the security of the city? State. Ms. Lacey. Let me guess, that bastard Jaeger asked you to come to me to collect equipment. Wei-en nodded, not realizing that there was a problem with putting the words, "bastard," on Jaeger. I knew it. Laishi smiled on her face. I knew he really recognized my leadership skills. What's your name? Wayne Lovett. Wei-en, you don't look too fierce. Anyway, welcome to join us. I'm the investigator of Investigation Department 1, Lacey Janice Montoya, said Lacey, muttering before extending her hand with a smile on her face. Wayne hesitated for a moment and gently grasped her hand. He always felt that this tough lady would grab his hand and throw him away from the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com. The one inside is Roger Guy. And there are also 2 investigators who are catching mice in the slums. You can see them no later than tomorrow. Laishi spoke at an extremely fast pace, like a machine gun. Before Wei En could say anything, she picked up the uniform from the table and put it on, covering Wei En and her 6-pack abs on her chest before saying, "Let's go, while the miscellaneous staff from the property management department are still working, let's go and collect the equipment." "Well, thank you." Wayne followed her out of this office, and only then did he realize that Lacey was taller than him. "You're welcome. Once you get used to the work here, you'll understand that we don't need these fancy phrases between us." Does it mean that he will also become so distinctive? Wei En thought that although it would make him feel that joining the Secret Investigation Department was even more thoughtless. "Wei En, how do you feel about the Secret Investigation Bureau?" "To be honest." "Of course," Laishi looked at him and smiled, "it seems you've noticed that our logistics department is a very interesting place here." "I didn't notice this," Wei En said truthfully, "but I suddenly regretted coming for the interview." "Ah, this." Laishi was dumbfounded, watching his serious expression and realizing what she should do to save this colleague who had finally been abducted. Wei En, Laishi, relying on his height and long legs, grabbed his head and pressed it against his chest, saying, "Believe me, when you get to know this place, you will definitely like it. This I'm not sure if I like it or not in the future." But he knew that if he didn't do anything else, he would suffocate to death. Chapter 10. Sure enough, I was tricked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The entire Secret Investigation Department is divided into 5 departments from top to bottom, except for the committee where the leadership is located. Our Logistics Department includes the Material Management Department responsible for material allocation and equipment research and development, the Secret Information Department responsible for collecting intelligence, and the whistleblowers, who speak out to the outside world. Accuse the deceased. Wei En asked in confusion, "What department is that?" Laishi said calmly, "The nickname for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the reason why they are called the Dead, is mostly because it is not good for them to speak out to the outside world. More precisely, they are the departments that announce the casualties and the results of the case." "So, what about the last department?" "The Warhead, the most core department of the entire Secret Investigation Department, they." Laishi paused slightly and said, "You'll know when you see them. Anyway, those who can join the battle department are all lunatics." She walked and talked, not only introducing the situation of the Secret Investigation Company, but also mentioning some precautions to make him understand as comprehensively as possible. This makes Wayne's senses for Lacey very good. However, he didn't idle while listening. Just like Lu Lao Lao strolling around the Grandview Garden, he was very interested in everything here. Of course, it mainly relies on his perceptual ability to see. The most impressive place among them is called the detention zone. As he passed by, he felt a strange wave, just like the feeling he had when he opened the rune array in the morning. But to be stronger and more eerie, as if to choose someone and devour them. According to Lacey's introduction, the most dangerous thing in the entire Castile City-State is being held there. She didn't specifically refer to any creatures here, so there are probably many strange taboo items inside. Our Secret Investigation Department doesn't have many rules, but there's one thing you need to remember. Laishi stopped and looked at Wayne solemnly, saying, "Never talk about anything related to faith in front of the director. Belief related." Wayne looked at her with some confusion. Although he hasn't been in this world for long, he is also aware that the church has an absolute advantage in many places. Especially for churches like Dawn Church, which have a large number of followers, even in coastal city-states like Castor, they can compete with Storm Church. "Miss Lacey, are you referring to the kind of Dawn Church?" "All of them." Laishi continued to walk forward. "Anything related to these 4 churches is prohibited, including the dawn, the stormy sea god, the abundance of the earth, and the hanging red moon. Anyway, just remember this point. Generally speaking, the director is still very articulate. Euan nodded, but he didn't think it was a big deal. He was just a slightly eccentric boss. Here we are, this is the property management department. Laishi stood outside an iron gate, and roast, I don't know how the director could assign them to these miscellaneous worms. Euan glanced around and exclaimed, this place is quite beautiful. Surrounded by various colored flowers, plants, and trees, there are layers of layers that are very layered. Among them, a few flowers are very precious and bright at first glance. There is a fountain at the entrance, and the water is very clear, obviously taken care of frequently. What surprised him the most was the building in front of him, which was out of place with other buildings just by looking at its appearance. The gate is made of heavy iron wood, with exquisite patterns carved on it. The supporting pillars on both sides are extravagantly made of white grained stone, which even its inexperienced predecessor knows is priced comparable to gold pounds. The floor is covered with a layer of the same stone, which is bright enough to serve as a mirror. Purple. Euan glanced at the ground and quickly covered his nose, looking elsewhere. I don't know which great deity's masterpiece it is, spreading the mirror on the ground is too unfriendly to those women wearing cool clothes, the best location and most luxurious building of the entire secret investigation office. It is said that when we built this place back then, we used 3 years funding from the department. Laishi pouted and said, I thought the former director was building for the higher-ups, but I didn't expect to raise a bunch of miscellaneous people who are just waiting to die. Sister Lacey, it seems like you treat them very well. Disdainful. Laishi glanced at the ground and was also aware of her walking. She unnaturally clamped her legs and explained, most of the people in the property management department are descendants of those who sacrificed before. Originally, Silly hoped that they could inherit their legacy and use the energy of the property management department to strive for self-improvement. But I didn't expect them to be so disrespectful. So it's the second generation, now Euan has some understanding. Ding-ling. Laishi rang the doorbell and said displeased, hurry up and collect your things and leave. This damn floor. If it weren't for not being able to afford it, I would really want to break them all. Before the door could open, a voice came, that's not possible, Lacey. Even if you only break a piece, your annual salary won't be enough to compensate. Mel, quickly open the door. Here you are, why are you in such a hurry? We've been working together for so long, and you should also understand the work style of our property management department, right? I don't understand. Laishi covered the hem of her skirt with one hand, trying to minimize the exposed area. Upon seeing this, Euan took off his coat and handed it over. Laishi, here you are. Laishi tied her coat around her waist and let out a sigh of relief, saying, if you're grateful, I won't say anything. I'll treat you tonight and take you to experience Castor's nightlife. You're welcome. However, nightlife and so on. Still needed. At this moment, the door slowly opened inward. A young man who draped the dark blue uniform of the secret investigator over his shoulder walked out, glanced at the ground, and pursed his lips, saying, Lacey, you're already an old friend. It's not good for you to be so guarded. Stop talking nonsense. Laishi snorted, today our logistics department has a new colleague, I'm too lazy to beat you up. New colleague. Mel noticed Euan next to him and a hint of displeasure flashed on his face, but he laughed and said, welcome to join the secret investigation department. I am Mel Arias from the property management department. Euan love it. I don't know why, but after this person came out, Xiao Axi's gaze remained fixed on this person named Mel, not even on the majestic and fair land of Laishi. This aroused interest in the person in front of Euan. Please follow me, the equipment is all in the nearby warehouse. Mel nodded calmly, turned around with a faint sense of pride, and walked ahead to lead the way. You go, I'll wait for you outside, Laishi frowned as she looked at the brighter ground inside. Okay. After speaking, Wayne followed over and, like Xiao Axi, focused his gaze on Sawmel. Judging from your appearance, it's not Castor's, is it? Not long ago. Sawmel turned around and glanced at him with a scrutinizing gaze. I dared to join the secret investigation department as soon as I arrived, and it's the most dangerous logistics department besides the combat department, he said. Are you an extraordinary profession or an inheritor with extraordinary bloodline? Wei-yin was stunned for a moment, not because of the question raised by the other party, but because of the most dangerous statement made by the logistics department. Is the logistics department very dangerous? So you don't know anything about the Secret Investigation Bureau, Tisk? Sawmel smiled inexplicably and looked at him, saying, Wayne, right. I hope I can see you again at the Secret Investigation Bureau in the future. After speaking, he quickened his pace and didn't stop until the room at the end of the corridor. It seems necessary to ask Sister Laishi about the responsibilities of the logistics department later. Wei-yin had some bad premonitions in his heart. Perhaps the logistics department was not quite what he had imagined. Compared to others, the work of the property management department meets his expectations. Don't be stunned, I have to go to the cathedral later. Come over quickly. Sawmel took out a piece of parchment and laid it on the table, calling out, sign your name here. Also, I have to remind you that the secret investigation department's budget is tight. After the equipment is damaged, you will have to pay half of the repair cost. Wei-yin glanced at the suitcase in his hand and asked, is the repair cost very expensive? Very expensive. Still. Rookie, put away your pitiful imagination. Sawmel sneered, what's inside this box is the most sophisticated and powerful standard equipment in the entire Castellan City. State. Besides some custom-made equipment, this is the most precious thing. Just selling this set on the black market can make you rich overnight. You don't think we're really just the scumbags that Laishi talks about, do you? Wei-yin blinked and said, do you mean it can be sold? If you really get rich overnight, this deal is not impossible. After selling his equipment, he left the kingdom of Shatland and ran far away. As for whether the people in the property management department are miscellaneous. What does this have to do with him? Sawmel's expression was eerie, and his veins wriggled on his forehead. If you dare to sell them privately, wait for the lunatics from the combat department to come knocking on you. I'm just joking. Wayne signed his name, picked up the box, and casually asked, Brother Sawmel, are you also going to the church to watch Archbishop Crand lead the hymn? Who cares about that old man? I'm going to see my Kali goddess. Why are you asking this? Kali goddess. What does this have to do with you? Wayne looked at him with a dangerous look in his eyes and pretended to be happy, saying, if it were the Kali goddess studying at Krem's college, I should know her. Since Xiao Axi is so interested in him, let's leave a hook appropriately. Do you know the goddess Carly? Yeah. Sawmel disdainfully said, then I know her father. Hurry up and don't delay me from work. See you later, Brother Sawmel. Wei-yin saw that he didn't believe it and didn't say much. He shrugged and turned to leave. The hook has been lowered, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. After he left the property management department, he saw Laishi standing next to the fountain with an impatient expression on his face, accompanied by a tall and sturdy man. Santiago, I have already expressed my attitude, please don't appear in front of me again. Laishi, I know you misunderstood me. Time will prove that only I am the strongest inheritor of the Montoya family. What does that have to do with me? Sister Laishi, I have received the equipment on my end. The strong man heard the sound and turned around to glance at Wei-yin. After saying, talk again next time, he turned around and left. Lacey did not respond to his words, but handed Wayne the coat tied around his waist and said, let's go. However, Wei-yin was stunned for a long time before trying to suppress the shiver on his body. He took the coat and stiffly put it on, saying, Laishi, who was that just now? Santiago, he's from the combat department, a complete lunatic. Remember to stay away from him when you see him in the future. Wayne nodded calmly and said, "Oh. That look. So scary, he thought he was going to die." Just as he met the person's eyes, he felt a whirlwind before him, and vaguely he seemed to see a towering giant figure roaring at him. Laishi looked at him, as if she had thought of something, and her expression turned angry. "This bastard. He's using intimidation on you. Next time I see him, I won't be able to spare him." Deterrence. A spiritual secret technique. As long as the spiritual level does not exceed the caster's, it will be forced into a state of confusion, and in severe cases, it may even become an idiot. Laishi gritted her teeth and said, "I didn't expect him to dare to take action against you. Isn't he afraid of being punished by the director?" "It's okay, I'll know later." On the surface, Wayne didn't care at all, but in his heart, he remembered the name Santiago. He will definitely find this venue if there is a chance. Let's go. After we go back, I'll introduce you to the situation of the secret investigation company. Wei En followed behind with a suitcase. "By the way, Sister Laishi. I don't know the job responsibilities of our logistics department yet. Can you introduce me to them?" Didn't Jaeger explain it to you when you signed the employment contract?" Perhaps Minister Jaeger forgot. This bastard. Laishi once again cursed, looking for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. I knew he didn't say anything. Wasn't this intentional deceit? Did this person forget that when they first met, she used the word deceit? Our logistics department, full name actually refers to the logistics and investigation department. In fact, the scope of work is completely unrelated to logistics. What about the specifics? Although Wei En was mentally prepared, when he really heard this, he still felt like he had been tricked. The specific work mainly includes two parts, Laishi said awkwardly. One is responsible for investigating all mysterious cases within the Castor City area. I know it's not appropriate to say that, but in fact, this job is very dangerous. So I have to enter and exit various dangerous places. Not only that, but it also includes solving those believers of evil gods, uncontrollable extraordinary professionals, and... What else? Wei En rolled his eyes. He already understood what the logistics department does. If you have a better image, you are the police of an extraordinary world. Also, it is necessary to collect as many weaknesses of those eerie creatures as possible to provide assistance for the combat personnel of the warhead. That is to say, we need to fight against those eerie creatures in advance. Not really, Laishi said awkwardly, or you can learn about it in other ways. Wei En took a deep breath and didn't intend to continue struggling on this issue. Instead, he asked, what about the other one? Another task is to be responsible for the closure of the case. Speaking of which, Laishi's expression relaxed and she smiled, saying, I guarantee this responsibility, you are absolutely satisfied.